Hey y'all, welcome to another edition of Primary Tackles, Tips, and Tactics. Got our MLF, our Major League Fishing Pro Circuit
There we go. We're getting there.
angler, Jimmy Washam.
A lot of change.
It's been a big change in a lot of circuits, but we got him. We're going to talk a little bit today about one of his favorite lure companies, I would think, considering
Absolutely.
he's a part owner and so Black Bass Tackle. So we're going to talk a little bit about some jigs today. Jimmy's going to give us a few tips and tactics for, I guess, basically spring fishing with some jigs and where do these different styles apply. So I'm going to kind of let you do that, and we'll go from there.
All right. We'll start with my favorite, my go-to. Call it the Tour Bound jig because it's what helped me get to what was then the FLW Tour. It's something that'll catch fish anywhere that you go, as long as it's not really around vegetation. But it's just a little finesse jig that I love. It's based on a round head jig, but it's also got a concave top that makes it a stand up. It's a 7/16 ounce jig, the Black Bass Tackle Industries Tour Bound jig, my signature series. The skirts that we put on all of our jigs are the custom skirts, come with a double O-ring, which is going to prevent that jig from rotting in your box, the collar from rotting and the skirt falling off and making it useless. And B, it also gives that skirt a little better flare because it's got more pressure around the collar where the skirt attaches. So keeps it from pulling down when you're skipping it. But this Tour Bound jig, I love throwing it on a 7-foot medium heavy rod. Probably 14-pound line is what I throw it on the most. It's, we call it a finesse jig, but you catch big fish on it.
Right.
Around docks, I mean, I've caught a bunch of 6 and 7 pounders on it. If I'm around docks or heavy cover, 16-pound line is what I'll go to. My favorite trailers, I'll alternate depending on my rate of fall that I'm looking for. If I'm fishing it shallower, I really like throwing a Strike King Menace on the back. If I'm wanting that bait to fall a little bit quicker, like bump down a 12-pound line and fish it, 10, 12, 15 foot deep, then the Ultra Vibe Speed Crawl is the best trailer for it, man. It's just a fish catcher. Comes in a lot of great colors, and you won't ever get in my boat and that at least not be tied on in the rod box ready to come out. So
There you go.
the next thing I'll go to, this one, it's great in the summertime, but it's also great on pre-spawn fish that are just pulling up. Points, secondary points, stuff like that. Even brush piles can really be good this time of year. And this is the crawler jig. It's like what you're used to with a football head jig in the way that it has these wide jaws. But what you're also going to get out of this jig is the wide jaws of the football head, but you also have a pointed nose here. And what that does as it comes through wood, it keeps that bait from rolling over, and that's what gets you hung in a brush pile or on a log when you come to wood cover with a football head. They're just infamous about rolling over. With a little bit of nose on that line tie, this bait will come through wood and cover, I don't know, twice as good as a regular old football head.
Right.
Still get hung every now and then, but nothing like your football head. And if you're hung in a brush pile, you're not going to catch fish out of it,
No, it's
more than
kinda
likely.
hard.
So
Yeah.
I really like throwing that one with a rage crawl on the back. And of course, from a 1/2 ounce to a 3/4 ounce, you can fish this bait in a lot of different water depths. It's just a really good bait for that rock transition, hard bottom type application.
Hey, if you still want to catch a fish out of that brush pile, just go ahead and break it off. We got more.
That's
Come buy
right.
another one.
That's right. The rod on that one, I do, if I'm throwing the 1/2 ounce, I'll go the same setup, a 7-foot rod, just like my Tour Bound. I really like a 7.3 heavy action rod if I'm throwing that 3/4 out a little bit deeper, take up line. It does have a light wire hook, which don't be scared. If you saw my video from Pickwick last year, I caught an 8.9 on that crawler jig. So the hook is sturdy, but that light wire hook allows you on those long casts in deep water to where you get more penetration without having to take up so much line on that hook set. The next one, the skip and flip jig, that's my very favorite color right there. That's the bling pumpkin, which we offer in all the models that we carry. And that's got some gold, green pumpkin, some tan, purple. It's a fish catcher no matter where you go. But that skip jig, it's got a flat head, and obviously, just like it says, that jig is a dream to skip. man, you can skip it all the way to the back of those docks, skip it under cypress limbs. I really like a menace crawl on this if I'm skipping it, especially because it seems like just a little bit more streamlined profile trailer helps it skip well. It's got a good bait keeper that's going to keep your bait from pulling down. The double banded skirt is always going to keep that skirt up if you're skipping it. It's built well with a heavy gauge hook. I mean, that's the one that you want to cast with, 18, 20 pound line, and that 7 or 7.3 heavy action rod. You want to cast it up under that cypress tree in that log jam to the back of that dock, and when you stick him, you're not going to stop until you flip him in the boat. That's your go to war jig. Really skips good, and it's a great fish catcher. The next one, the swim jig. In the springtime, that really is something that gets overlooked. A spinnerbait is a killer in the spring, but when those fish reach a certain point, it's almost like it happens overnight. In that March, April time period, when those fish will all of a sudden go from eating that spinnerbait to, I don't want to eat anymore, I want to go and lay eggs. When they do that, that's when the swim jig really shines. It's it's not as intrusive, no flash, less vibration, and it's just something that doesn't seem to require such an aggressive mindset for the fish to eat. It's great around lily pad stems, places like that this time of year where you've got pads starting to come up. Anytime you just want to search and hunt for fish, great around just locating beds. It's a great practice tool if you're preparing for an event where you think there's fish on beds. Put you a trailer on it. You can even cover your hook if you're worried about sticking that big fish, but you can really get fish to roll on it or even just follow it off of a bed, and it helps you mark beds. So that's a couple of the ways I'll utilize that swim jig in the spring. It's the streamline head and a 3/8 ounce and a 1/2 ounce, depending on the water depth you want to fish that bait in, and you can put a swim bait trailer on it or like a rage crawl or something that'll help ride it high in the water column. Once again, if I'm around a lot of grass, I'm going to throw that on 30 to 40 pound braid. Really does great. A 7-foot medium heavy rod. And if I'm in more of an open water application, I really like the 16 pound fluorocarbon on it. Gets you a lot of bites, cast well. So that's the setup that I choose for the swim jig. And any of these jigs will catch fish any time of the year, but the spring, we often think of traps, jerk baits, spinner baits, chatter baits. But the jig, I've caught just as many big fish on it in February and March as I have in any other time of the year. So it's something you don't want to overlook. If you need to slow down and or you just want to target those bigger bites, then make sure you got a jig on the deck.
There you go. Well, Jimmy, thank you for that. We carry the full line of black bass tackle jigs here at the shop. Come see us. Jimmy's in here occasionally as well, so we just wanted to keep trying to do these videos and get some stuff out to you guys. So thanks again for watching the video today, and we hope to see y'all soon.